You are listening to the Maple Footy Podcast, the unofficial football podcast of the North. I'm your host, Sam Little. Find me on socials at SamLittle44 and the podcast at Maple Footy Pod. And now there's nothing left to say except for sit back, enjoy, and welcome to the show.
Hello, yes, welcome back to the Maple Footy Podcast, the podcast that is the unofficial football podcast of the North. And this is actually, if you can believe it, as I readjust my mic, if you can believe it, episode 99 of this thing. That is crazy. We ain't going nowhere, and we ain't slowing down. Actually, over the next month, we're speeding up. We're going to have a lot to talk about and discuss over the next, month. I'm stressing just thinking about when I'm going to be able to record all these. But yeah, it's fun times. CPL playoffs are in full swing, and I'm really excited about that. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. But first, a couple of notes here. Firstly, reintroducing the Maple Start. So a couple games have taken place since the last episode I had recorded and put out. Firstly, in terms of MLS playoffs, some Canadian boys did really well. Congrats to Joel Waterman, who's enjoying quite the start to life with Chicago as they won their wild card playoff game and will now face Philadelphia, who won the Supporter Shield. Oh, I don't love that. That's going to be difficult. But hey, playoffs, anything can happen, and we'll be rooting for Joel, as we'll be rooting for all of our Canadian boys representing the badge and the Maple Leaf in these playoffs. And speaking of boys representing the badge and the Maple Leafs, Portland Timbers, I feel like right now, just with the amount of Canadians playing for them, our honorary fourth Canadian MLS team at the moment. James Pentemis had quite the good game for Portland against Real Salt Lake, and Kamal Miller scored the cherry on top to make it 3-1 as Portland Timbers have stamped their place into the next round, winning their wild card playoff game. They will be facing off against San Diego. Big mental games going to be happening in that one because San Diego just thrashed Portland on the final day of the season. But it is okay. I have faith in Portland. I have faith in the Canadians. Come on, boys. Some sadder news. Alistair Johnston, as of recording this today, made his return to football and only lasted 26 minutes before he was pulled off, holding his hamstring yet again. Really, really hoping it was just like a tweak. It would be absolutely gutting if he worked so hard over the last couple of months to get back into game shape, get back healthy, and get back into the lineup, only to 26 minutes into his return, ending up getting injured and having to be subbed off. Really, really, really upset for him, and I can only imagine what he's thinking right now. Hopefully, it is nothing serious. But yeah, definitely big concerns, and I think this is going to be the story to watch over the next few days in terms of Canadian soccer. But we'll kind of end this on a high with two more stories. Kyle Larin got his first goal for Feyenoord in the Europa League in a 3-1 win. So that is good, off the mark. That's a goal and an assist for them. I was saying he really needed to open up his account literally just last episode. So really happy he did here, and hopefully he can kick on. I am still a Kyle Larin believer. I'm a Kyle Larin truther, if you will. I still have faith in him. I know that some fans, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm not gonna take that away from you. Some fans aren't the biggest fan of him currently. I do still think that there's a place for Kyle Larin, and especially if he can kind of get goals underneath him, pushing him into a World Cup spot, I think that would be absolutely massive. And we're gonna top this off with the best thing ever. Liam Miller made his first start for Hull post ACL injury, played the full 90. Got man of the match and got himself his first goal of the season. The Hive was absolutely buzzing for Liam Miller, and we're still kind of riding that high. So happy for him. I don't think he's had a bad appearance in a Hull shirt just yet. I'm ecstatic for him. We are seeing the player that Liam Miller can fully become. We've known the potential of Liam Miller for quite some time now. I mean, he's been with the program for a long time, and now I think we're really going to be seeing this consistency from him. I'm really excited for the season that he could have. Just hoping that he can keep fit, hoping that the manages minutes properly, and hoping that he can just kick on, because he is a player if we let him spread those wings and fly, because this is the Liam Miller Hive, baby. So what do you say we get into the first round of the CPL playoffs, where Halifax Wanderers hosted York United? It was 4th versus 5th at the Wanderers ground. It is just the second ever CPL match to go 120 minutes plus a penalty shootout. Funnily enough, the only other match included York as well. That was last season when York went up against Ottawa. So that's pretty funny that York, I guess just moral of the story here is just let York play in the playoffs, I guess, because you're guaranteed something quite entertaining, because I thought this game was quite good. Yes, of course, stops and starts, however we want to say it, throughout the night due to weather concerns. And, I mean, safety always comes first 100%. So I'm not going to argue that or debate that or nothing like that. Just glad that everybody, to my knowledge, everybody was safe, and they cleared the stands when the lightning struck. I mean, the first time they ended up playing again. And that's fair. I get it. They want to play the game. And if every player and coach say they want to play the game, then, I mean, I'm not going to condone that because, I don't want people to be unsafe. But we will just say that the players and coaches wanted to play it, so they attempted to, and then the Lightning got closer, hence the stoppages. So, yes, the game that started at 6:30 my time ended at about 10. So it just shows you how long this game really did go on for, and how hard that's got to be for the players too to kind of readjust and whatnot. But regardless, I think it was quite the good game if you kind of take out the Lightning fiasco. The Wanderers fans, credit to the ones that stayed throughout the pouring rain and the lightning and whatnot. They do have a class fan base. I really like the Wanderers fan base. Just always out there, always singing, always packing the stands, and that's exactly what you want to see for this game, and especially for these playoffs. So yeah, really, really happy about that, and it's just really fun to have the CPL playoffs going on right now. This is what the entire season builds toward. This is what the entire season is built around. So yeah, it's great to have it back. And how about we get into a bit of player by player for each team, kind of give my thoughts on the game, give my feelings on maybe what went right, what went wrong, what York can do in the next round, and I think some of the things that Halifax might rue looking at the game tape, if they do look at the game tape for this one. But yeah, let's get into it. So we're going to start off with the goalkeeper on Halifax. We're going to talk about the Wanderers first, just because they were the team on the losing end of things. So we'll talk about them, and then we will talk about our winners, York United. So in goal was, no surprise here, Ryan Yesley. He had a pretty good season, I thought, for the Wanderers. He was busy on the night, I thought. Both keepers were busy, but I didn't see either of them really make any phenomenal saves. That's a lie. Towards the end of, towards the beginning of, I think it was the second half. At some point, York's goalkeeper made a phenomenal save on the free kick. That was just a straight knuckleball. And those are always really hard to judge. Tipped off the crossbar. Would have been an insane goal if it had went in. I would say that York was probably the busier of the two goalkeepers. But yeah, Ryan Yesley, I don't think he was terrible. I think he had a terrible moment, and I think that he would probably be the first one to tell you that. But in all fairness, I don't think he was the only culprit. Two of Halifax Wanderers' biggest veterans, Jeremy Gagnon-Appere and Rampersan, both make a mess of it in the box for Halifax in the second goal for York. And then it kind of bounced around, pings around between the two of them, and then it finds its way to Yesley, who it just kind of bounced off of him too. And then Handel is there to tap it, and we go to penalties. That is terrible on all three men, and I will talk about the other two a bit later. But yeah, for Yesley, he will want that moment back for sure, because without that, I mean, let's be honest, Halifax looked like they were probably going to be on their way to the next round of this playoff if it wasn't for that mistake from those three men. But yeah, Yesley, I don't want to say he was terrible. He was definitely worked on the day, but nothing too crazy, I thought. And yeah, just a really, really bad moment from himself. But we won't harp on too long about him. Let's talk about the Halifax defense. Jefferson Alphonse, I thought he was quite good. He made a couple of big clearances, a couple of big tackles. Actually, for the most part, I actually thought both defenses were quite good on the day, despite both teams conceding 2 goals. I mean, not like that's a blowout or anything. But yeah, despite both teams still conceding on the day, I thought both defenses were quite good. Alphonse looked, I thought, very good on the day. He looked very calm and composed on the ball and made some, as I said, big tackles, big clearances. I quite liked the look of him on the day. His partner on the day, Nassim Machide, was, I thought, also just quite good. Really, once again, didn't put much of a foot wrong. I know that sounds pretty repetitive, but I thought he was really good. He wasn't at fault for the goals. And Halifax were kind of they kind of shot themselves in the foot on both goals, and as I said, I'll kind of discuss each player that I thought played a part in them when I get to them, but none of these guys really did. In the middle was Thomas Jaguar, one of the best defenders in the CPL this season. I thought that was on full display on the night. His leadership, his ability to play from the back, his ability to read the game and read plays and be able to shut down attacks and just do what you want your lead center back to do, and that's exactly what he was doing. I was really impressed with him. There's a reason why he is so highly talked about in the CPL. It's because he just is that good. And yeah, he would be in with a shout for one of the defenders of the year in my book, 100%. He is very good. He had a very good night, as did the rest of his defense. Looking at the wingbacks, Adam Perlman, I thought he was really a really good attacking outlet. There was the one chance, it all blends together. It was either in the second half or sometime in extra time, where he was slid in, and it was honestly the first time you see, you go, oh man, he should score that. But then you watch the replay on his shot, and he had no time. He was getting closed down so quickly by York defenders. So it was actually impressive they got the shot off in general. But yeah, he looked quite good. He's on loan from TFC. I don't know if there's a buy option. I definitely have to check. But if there is a buy option or another loan option, and if TFC/Perlman would want to, I don't know why Halifax wouldn't extend, if that, of course, is in the contract and is an option. Because they had quite the good season, and he once again looked pretty good on the night too. So I know I'm just heaping praise on the team that lost. I'm sorry. Kareem Sow as well on the left was good. I was pretty surprised to see him instead of Timoteo. Timoteo did still end up coming in, but didn't come in on the left flank. He came on more on the right. But yeah, I thought, once again, I'm sorry, I thought he was quite good. So we'll move on from him as well. We'll get a little bit negative here because my target is Caligari. Caligari, who had himself a really good season. Don't forget that, as I'm kind of about to slate him a little bit. Wasn't a fan of him staying down during the Julian Altobelli goal. He was trying to win. I don't want to make speculation, I guess. I don't know if he was trying to win a foul. It very much looked like he did. He was fine basically right after the goal went in. He was laying on the ground trying to get the foul that the referee was not calling. He should have gotten up. Julian Altobelli literally dribbled right into where Caligari would have been and curled the ball into the top corner. As one of the leaders in this team, as one of the standout players in this team, and as one of the best midfielders in this league, you just can't be doing that. And I am a fan of Caligari. I think he's a very good player. I don't want that to get lost. And I thought outside of that moment, he was good on the night. But that is to me almost inexcusable, because you're trying to see out the game. Halifax at this point were pretty much parking the bus, and you need every single man to be locked in and turned on, and what have you. And Caligari, you expect that from him, and for the most part he was, but this moment in particular, he's trying to win a foul, and I do get that this is how they play the game now. That is not lost on me. They all try to win fouls. Every player tries to win a foul and try to kill a play, and I get it. If it works, it looks genius, and if it doesn't work, things like this can happen, because kind of like the stoppage time, the extra time goal, Halifax was well in the driver's seat. They were up, they were leading. York was pushing, but it just didn't look like it was going to happen. And then you lay down and you let one of the most dangerous strikers in the league on the ball in the 18-yard box, and you just give him as much time as he needs and wants, and he fires the ball in. And to me, that's just it's nearly inexcusable. But once again, outside of that, I do think he was pretty good on the night. Controlled the tempo of the game, controlled the midfield. What I liked about him was he was really contributing. To contradict myself immediately, he was contributing well defensively outside of that moment, and I thought he looked really aggressive in the attack as well. Looked like he was trying to probe the ball forward, trying to make himself available in that final third. And it was a complete performance from him, I thought, outside of just a really bad moment of madness. His midfield partner on the day, Isaiah Johnston, nearly won Halifax the game in stoppage time, where his shot just went wide. Another one I thought had a solid night, a really solid showing. I found he was really complimenting Caligari really, really well. And he was, once again, always an option and really contributed defensively, once again adding to those strong defensive performances on the field on the night. And yeah, he was kind of like Caligari, really pushing forward, really trying to get involved in the attack. As I said, could have, in a different timeline, maybe that ball sneaks into the bottom corner instead, just wide of the bottom corner. And we're talking about a Halifax win right now. But I digress. He was very good on the day, but my player for Halifax was definitely Sean Rea. This is, on his day, he might just be the best player in this league. And if he's not the best player, he's top 5 on his day. I will hold my hands up here. He did have a bit of an inconsistent season. I'm a big fan of Sean Rea. I think that he is one of the best players I think this league has to offer, and especially given that he is Canadian, that is always a plus. But just his creativity on the ball, anytime he was on the ball, you really felt like he was going to do something. You felt like he could create something. I mean, he nearly grabbed an assist on the Coimbra bicycle kick, and then he does grab an assist on the Coimbra header. He was just lofting great balls, and he was a magnet to the ball and a magnet to York players because they would swarm him, and somehow he'd always wriggle his way out of a challenge and progress that ball forward. He was so much fun to watch. This is the Sean Rea we need every game because he is so entertaining. And as I said, just on his day, one of the best players in the entire league. He is just that good, I think. He's had a stint with CF Montreal in the past, and I honestly believe that his level could be MLS. I do genuinely believe that. I think that's the case for a lot of our CPL boys. I think that they are that good, but that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, I think our CPL players are very good players, by the way. But yeah, Sean Rea, up until he was pulled off, was maybe the best wanderer on the pitch. And I think that his coach will be kicking himself for pulling him off. I know that commentary on the broadcast was really shocked when Rea was pulled off, and I was joining them in that. I couldn't believe it. It is knockout football. One game and you're done, and you pull off your most creative, your best player, and then less than 10 minutes after you pull him off, York score, and now you don't have a creative outlet on the field. And I bet you he probably would have taken the penalty too had he have still been on for those. So yeah, just those moments as a manager that I think that you look back on and you kind of go, oh man. Because anytime they also cut to Sean Rea on the bench, he did not look pleased. But yeah, I don't understand why they pulled him off. It's knockout football. I think you got to leave him on unless he like literally cannot play. But his striker on the day, Thiago Coimbra, he didn't find himself getting too many touches, except for the touches that ended up being shots. So I suppose that is a very good striker performance. But if you actually watched him, you would say he had a good performance. He was really running the line and stretching that defense of York and really making it a challenge for them to mark him. And he nearly got 2 bicycle kick goals. One hit the post, and one was, of course, saved. Either one of them would have went down as an all-timer CPL goal. Would have been insane if he had done 2 in one game. But alas, we didn't get to see the bicycle kick bangers. But his header goal was a very, very nice goal on his part. Leaves his man, finds that position, and just nods that ball in. The keeper doesn't have a chance, nothing he can do. And yeah, really, really impressed by Coimbra because it's hard for a striker, I think, to have to just run and stretch the line for a lot of the game and really make space for others and have to capitalize on his moment. And I found he did that because even the 2 bicycle kicks, right? Like those are half chances. Like those are chances that, he probably shouldn't be getting off, but he does, and then the goal itself was really his best and clear-cut opportunity, and he scores that, converts that. Coimbra, for me, one of the best young players in the league this year. You can make a case for him being the best young player of the year, 100%. And, I mean, he showed it on the night. He showed his quality, I thought. Finally of the starting 11 here, Ryan Telfer. I'm a Telfer fan. I've watched him since he started with TFC back in the day. I thought that I don't want to be super negative here. I just thought that it was a pretty ineffective Ryan Telfer game. Some days he's, a very good, he is a very good player. And then some days he finds it hard to get into the game. And I just found that this game was one of those games. Maybe it's because York was really marking him and really trying to make it difficult for him. That could be it. But yeah, I just found he wasn't really finding a whole ton of joy. I'm trying to think of a notable moment that he kind of had, and I just really can't, to be honest with you. And yeah, just not his best afternoon, but yeah, still Ryan Telfer fan. I think he's a good player. But yeah, just everyone has those games. He just wasn't super involved, I thought. But his sub, the man that they subbed him in for, Wesley Timoteo, I thought he was very good off the bench. Of course, grabbed himself the assist, which, if Halifax had seen out the game, would have been the assist to send them through to the next round. Also, I think took one of the best penalties on the night. It was a very good penalty by Wesley Timoteo. But yeah, I just thought that he had a little bit more joy than Ryan Telfer. The game, maybe because it was also opening up, because York was really pushing for a goal. And then once we went to extra time, both teams were really pushing for a goal. So you kind of had them a little bit more open, which meant that Timoteo had more time and joy on the ball than Ryan Telfer did. And Timoteo is a very good playmaker as well. So you kind of got to see him in those positions. And I mean, he reaped the rewards of it. He did end up grabbing an assist on the day. It was a beautiful ball. And yeah, I was very impressed with Timoteo off the bench. A man that I wasn't super impressed with off the bench was Rampersad. Once again, not trying to be super negative here, but I think you expect more from one of your veterans. His mistake for the second goal, I thought was not good, obviously. But I also just think that he lacked a real grip on this game as he came in. He was brought in to really, see this game out. I mean, they brought him in for Sean Rea. He was brought in to help see this game out, and they just didn't see this game out. I found as the game went on, and the more Halifax tried to see the game out, the less it looked like Halifax was gonna see the game out, and eventually York did get the goal to make it 1-1, push to extra time. Then the same story repeated itself, really. And yeah, I don't think he was terrible. I just thought he didn't do the job that he was brought in to do, if you know what I mean. He definitely is one of the veterans in this locker room and on the team. But I don't think it was a terrible day at the office. I just think it was those fine margins in the game, like the mistakes that Halifax brought upon themselves, and Rappersad was one of the guys that brought one of those mistakes onto Halifax. And like I said, I didn't find that he really helped to see out the game all that much here. Substitute in the 103rd minute, Adam Perlman came off. Jeremy Gagnon-Appere, in another life, we're talking about him as a super sub. Sadly, that is not this one. He came on. I thought he looked pretty good, especially for a guy that had only played 70 minutes up to this point in the season, which is absolutely insane. Especially, and then as the coach, you're trusting him to then go and bail you out, essentially, and he did for a time being. He does score a very good goal. It was a very good header, a great ball in from Timoteo, and he kind of breaks from his man. I just found that then after that it was kind of downhill. He was culpable for the second goal and then skied his decisive penalty. And I do know everybody misses penalties. I would be more upset with his mistake on the second goal for York, which then of course sent us to penalties, than I would be with him putting his penalty over the bar, because as I said, these guys are human. They do miss their penalties. I just think when you're looking at the fundamentals of, hey, a ball's come in, we need to clear this ball, and nobody clears the ball, and you're one of the culprits of that, that is not ideal. But yeah, that's really all I have to say on him. And really there's one more Wanderer, Johan Bai. It didn't have a whole ton of time to come in. I mean, shocked he was put up for a penalty given that he was just brought on right before the PKs, but he converted his penalty very nicely, and that's what I have to say about his performance. But yeah, overall for Halifax, I think it's a missed opportunity for sure. I think this game was in their hands on multiple occasions, and they were the, what's the saying? The constructors of their own downfall or something like that. That's really what it felt like for Halifax. They came into the second half ahead right after grabbing a goal at the very end of the first half. So you got all the momentum. And as it was alluded to, they were winning all the 50-50s. It felt like a lot of things were going their way in the first half. But then come the second half, as the half went on, York was making changes to help York. It felt like Halifax was making changes to... On paper, of course, they were meant to help Halifax, of course, but it almost felt like they're making changes to let York back into this game. And I do know what they were trying to do. They were trying to park the bus. And you know what? If that had worked, it would be a different story right now. I'd be heaping praise. But, those are the fine margins that you're playing with, especially in knockout football. If you get it right, you're a genius. If you get it wrong, you're out, And I think it's a shame because these fans so deserve to see their team do really well. And I do think that the team put in a performance to be proud of. I just think it all fell apart for them when the coach started tinkering. And I wonder where that leaves their management position, because that's a very disappointing exit, I think, especially when it's in your own backyard. You are the favored team to win this one. York has only ever won one playoff game in their entire history going into this. They were the away team. It's balls in your court. You were up 1-0, then you were up 2-1. You tried to park the bus and it didn't work. You took off your most creative player. That backfired. And you just didn't capitalize when you're on top, I think. And I think that's what they're going to rue the most about the day, is that they really could have seen this one out if they had just, maybe didn't try to park the bus. But alas, those are the fine margins. Why don't we talk about the winning team that is now going to face Cavalry? So a lot of travel for this York side, by the way. Oh my gosh. But we will talk about this, I think, very good performance from York, especially their second half performance. So York's keeper, Ortiaga, was probably the busier of the two, but as I kind of said for Yesley, they were busy, but it didn't really feel like the saves that they had to make, that's just it. They were saves they had to make. They weren't super worked in that sense. Nothing that he could have done about either goals, let's be honest here. Both goals were very good by Halifax. I can't imagine really any keeper in the league saving either one of those shots. I will say it would concern me if I was York and a York fan going into the game against Cavalry. Not because I think he's a poor goalkeeper. I think he's a good goalkeeper. Just the penalties, not a great performance from him in the penalty shootout. Should have saved Halifax's fifth shot on but he doesn't. It slips under him. That to me is what could separate you from, going through or not. Keep in mind, he didn't save a penalty in the shootout. They both were. One was put wide by Caligari and one was put over. The final penalty was put over. So not to discredit him, because I do understand penalties are one of the hard arts to master, if you will, when it comes to goalkeeping. And I do think of the two goalkeepers who probably made the better saves, and I'm really referring to that knuckleball save on the free kick. But yeah, he that would just be a concern going into the next game, if of course it does get to penalties. And oh my gosh, if it does get to penalties, my word, that would be a lot of miles under those York legs. But we will move into the defense, really much like what I said for Halifax, and I had already said for York. I thought both defenses were good on the day. We'll start with Max Ferrari. A typical Max Ferrari performance. I thought bombing up the wing, making himself an option as an attacking outlet, and really contributing and chipping in on the defense. He was trying to whip some crosses in. He went 50% for him. He did get a lot of touches, especially a lot of touches in dangerous areas as well. Made a couple of clearances too. So I thought he had quite the good game. Went 115 minutes as well. His wing back partner on the day starting was Riley Ferrazzo. I thought he struggled a little bit to get into this one. I found that Halifax was finding a lot of joy from Ferrazzo. I was about to say Sean Johnson. Sean Rea, most of his crosses were coming in from the right-hand side of Halifax, or the left-hand side of York. Ferrazzo wasn't dealing super greatly with them, and he was one of the first men pulled off. And from there, I actually thought that his replacement was a lot better than him on the day. But we'll get into his replacement in a minute, as we will do the subs at the end. But yeah, Ferrazzo, not his best game. Still, don't get me wrong, I always feel bad because I always I say it wasn't their best game and whatnot, and I feel like it makes it seem like I don't rate these guys. I do rate these guys. Trust me, Ferrazzo is a good player. I just don't think it was his best day, and he was up against a Sean Rea that was up for it. That's always going to be a task and a challenge. I thought the center backs, were very good. Luke Singh, very good performance, proper performance. I thought for the most part, even though it was a good battle. I think that that's the best way to put it. Even though Coimbra was finding success, he was also quite limited in what he could do. As I had said earlier, he was taking half chances, really. The one chance he got, like the one proper chance he got, he did score, but he was limited to half chances, partially because of Luke Singh and Stirring and Atakubi. And I thought Singh was quite good on the day. Looked like a good modern center back. that you would expect. Big, commanding presence, good on the ball. Really reassuring presence back there. And a word on him knocking a beer out of a Halifax Wanderers fan's hands. I do not condone violence in the slightest, but I do say I do side with Luke Singh, and I actually don't think that is a yellow card. I apologize if that upsets you, but it's a podcast, so we're gonna put a controversial take out there. He was standing up for his boys, standing up for his team. I don't think you can fault that. He didn't assault if he had assaulted the fan, this is a totally different conversation. He knocked a beer out the fan's hand and then was kind of yelling at him in his face because the fan was, not behaving in a manner in which that you should when you purchase a ticket. I think people need to understand that. Luke Singh is simply defending himself and defending his teammates. I don't see anything wrong with it. But as I said, if there was violence, I do think that this is a different conversation. But there was no violence, so I don't see much wrong with it. He was sticking up for his team. I really don't see anything wrong with that. And please don't think that that is me saying that I condone violence, because I absolutely do not. As I kind of alluded to, his center back partner, one of his center back partners on the day, Stirring, I thought was also quite good. Made a big time block. I believe it was an extra time. It might have been in the second half, though. As I said, the game kind of blended together after having watched it for so long. He made a big time block. It was a crucial kind of block, which is what you need in playoff football. And in the middle, Captain Sam Adekubi, Elijah Adekubi, I thought had a good game. Of course, he is naturally a midfielder, but York had been deploying him as the center back in a good chunk of this season, really. And I think he looks quite good there. He is naturally a defensive midfielder, so just push him. I guess the thought process is push him a little bit more back, and maybe we can still have Elijah Adekubi be good. And that is exactly what happens. He's a good midfielder. He's a good defender. I wonder if he talks to his brother about defensive tips. Do you think he does? Nah, if I ever interview him one day, I'll have to ask him. But yeah, I thought it was good, and I will say big credit to Eustachio for taking his captain and one of his defenders off while they were pushing for a goal. You don't usually see that. That is a risky move, and that's one of those fine margins, because if that had backfired, you're probably looking and going, why are you taking off Adekubi? You cannot take Adekubi off in one of these games. But it works out, and it was actually a very good substitution to make, because I thought this game was won and lost, I think, by the substitutions, and we'll get more into that as we talk about the York substitutes. Moving into the midfield, Reed, who I'm quite the fan of, and actually big upped York for bringing him and Yates in. I thought were two very good signings for York United in the offseason. And while I do think Reed had a good season, I think he suffered kind of from the Telfer effect of good player, just wasn't his day. Not that he was disaster class. It wasn't anything like that. I just don't think he was super influential. I think he was really hard done by to get booked when he did, and I think that really did affect his intensity in this game, because he was booked for next to nothing. And then from there, you could tell he was going into a lot of challenges really, I don't want to say half-heartedly, but cautiously. And I just think it had an effect on his game, because he was trying to play wisely. He was trying not to get sent off, and good thing he didn't, in all fairness. But yeah, I just thought that he kind of wasn't finding the joy that he would have liked. The center of the park, though, Yates and Kimbato, were both very good. I thought they really controlled this tempo for York. I thought they kind of lost it a little bit in the first half, but as the game grew on, I think both of them, I'm just pairing them together here, honestly, just because I thought they both calmed each other really well. But as the game went on, I think they both really grew into it. Yates could have maybe been the villain on the day, as he did let his man go for that second Halifax goal. But outside of that, that was really the only time either one of them really shut off. They were both quite good. I really really impressed with them. Really impressed with them. They really controlled this game for York. And as the game went on, they grew into it. They got more assertive on the ball. They got more dominant in those midfield areas. The areas where you win and lose a game, they were the ones that were coming out on top, I found, in those crucial clutch moments. And that's exactly what you need in playoff football. That's exactly what you need from your two center midfielders. And that's exactly what York got. Altobelli, potentially man of the match here. He really, really great goal. The way he was stretching the lines, he did not have the ball a whole ton. I think that's really important to note. He was quite isolated and was quite uninvolved until he wasn't. Anytime he got onto that ball, you were thinking, okay, we're going to see something special here. And eventually you did see that something special here. In my opinion, probably the best goal on the night. The way he took the ball from the edge of the 18, carried it in just a little bit, got himself into a better shooting position, curled it into the top corner. It just, the calmness and the composure that you would expect from Altobelli, been one of the best players, been York's best player, this season, and been one of the most exciting players in the league this season. Very, very good performance from him, even though it was pretty quiet for a good amount of it. Every time he needed to do something, he was there. He was causing problems in the box. He was looking lively on the wing. He was looking lively through the middle. I really liked this performance from Altobelli. Really rate him as a player. I think that he has a bright future. Sean Hundle, who would not have expected to be here just a few weeks ago. Of course, the former Valor man transferred towards the end of the transfer window here for York. And oh boy, are they happy he did, because he, right place, right time. Kind of like Altobelli, didn't have a whole ton to do, but when he did, he made it count. He was in the right place at the right time, which is exactly what you want from one of your strikers. And he capitalizes on that mistake, sends him to penalties, and it dispatches his penalty as well on the night. So yeah, not that he had a ton to do, but he did what he had to do and stepped up when he needed to step up. Moving into the substitutes, Farron came on for Reed, and this is really where I thought York won the game, was in the substitutions. As Halifax was trying to see out the game, York was trying to attack the game. Naturally, as you would expect from a Halifax was winning at the time, York was losing. One needed to chase, one needed to protect. But I just think Estacio got his substitutions so right. Farron, from the moment he came on, immediately was finding so much joy on that right-hand side. Anytime he got onto that ball, it felt like he was causing problems. He was pressing that ball into the box, really trying to make a difference. It was a really positive performance from Farron, and if I'm Estacio, I'm really heavily debating on starting him against Cavalry, because he really made himself a proper case on the day. He just looked so lively, so up for it, so exciting. And as I said, anytime he got on that ball, he was pressing forward, really trying to get into that box, and was really causing problems. Who came on with him as well for Ferrazzo? It was Sholajima, who, I mean, if you've listened to me talk about this kid, because yes, he is still a child. I believe he's just turned 18. Question mark. So he might not be a child anymore. He's now a legal adult. Maybe, depending on if his birthday has happened or not. I'm such a fan of him. You see the potential here. Like, you just see his ability. He had that amazing performance against Ottawa last season when he grabbed the goal and the assist to help York last year in their game against Ottawa. And on this day as well, he came in, and I mean, it's not often you see a teenager taking set pieces, but that just shows how good he really is. His free kick set piece led to the second goal for York as well. Just another player that looked so positive when he came on. As I said, Estacio really got his substitutions just so spot on here. It was a big call to bring out Reed and Ferrazzo, two good players for York, and to bring in Farron and Gimo. it was a big call. I mean, not that Farron and Gmo are bad. Obviously, they are not. They are very good players. But to bring out two of your very good players to also replace him with two good players, but still to bring them out in the 55th minute as well. He did not wait to make these substitutions. Things weren't working. He knows that this is knockout football, and he brought them out. He brought in changes, and it worked for them. In the 70th minute is when Adekubi came on for Batar. Batar, again, looked quite good, I thought. Really added something into the midfield. He got to step into the center of the park as they kind of shifted guys around to keep their five at the back. But Batar got to step into the midfield, and I thought that really helped Yates and Cabato as well, because there was another body in the midfield. And Batar was really a magnet for Halifax Wanderers. They didn't want to give him a whole ton of space, whole ton of time, and in that, he kind of was opening up for guys around him. So almost like a sacrificial lamb on the day, but still a very important performance, I think. And I think that a lot of York fans would kind of look at that and go, you know what, that was a good performance from our boy there. And then in the last 5 minutes, Max Ferrari came off. He came off for Akatela, who, I mean, he got 5 minutes. I don't have a whole ton to say on him. I mean, it's good that he got to be, I guess, a part of such a big win. But yeah, I mean, as I kind of said, I do think this game was won and lost by the substitutions. Eustachio made the right ones, and Halifax just didn't. And that, as I said, those fine margins, because if anything had gone differently, you're sitting here going, genius from Halifax. What was Eustachio thinking? Stuff like that. It's those fine margins, and it is important to keep in mind that this game did in fact go penalties, so things were going right and going wrong for both teams. It took penalties to separate them on the day, which is, I think, why I was pretty positive for both sides. As I said, Halifax were kind of the what's that saying? Constructors of their own downfall. I'll get it eventually. But really, when you do look at it, it was an evenly matched game, which is what you would expect from 4th and 5th in the league, of course. But yeah, really entertaining game that was stopped and started thanks to lightning. And I will say, Eustachio did drop one of my favorite ever coach's lines when he was doing the halftime interview, and they had asked him a question about what was going wrong or something like that on the field, and he goes, they're winning their 50-50s. Everything just kind of seems to be going their way right now, but there's nothing I can do about it. And I thought that was the most accurate statement from a coach I had ever heard, because you're right. Like, what can you? You're not on the field. You can't do anything. You can only put those guys out there. And that's it. I was laughing at that for probably the entire rest of the match. I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, I really thought this was a great manager performance from Eustachio. And as I said, really gutsy of him to pull off guys when he did, and to pull off the personnel of which he did. Really, really impressed with him. I would like to see York win against Cavalry. It would be really cool to see York get to the semis here. Maybe even make a run to the final. Who knows? But one game at a time. It would be really cool to see them. What I think they should do, I think that they can't give Cavalry the time that they were giving Halifax, especially in that first half, because guys like Warshevsky, Camargo will make you pay. Moosey, their defense as well is just as good as Halifax's. You got Dan Klump, you got Aird, you got Montgomery. The list goes on. They have very good players. They're the defending champs for a reason. I know Cavalry didn't have their best season, but let's be real, even Cavalry's not best season is still a good season. They finished third. Outside of typical territory for them, but still, regardless, finished third into the semifinals. So yeah, I think York is also going to need their big players to show up again. Altabelli, Hundle, they showed up when they needed to. Yates, I thought, had a very good game. Cambato had a very good game. Defense had a very good game. They're going to need to do that again, and maybe even better this time to try to see themselves into the semifinal. And I would really like to see that. This York team feels quite likable from coaches to players. They feel like a likable team. If you're neutral, you might be rooting for York in these playoffs. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap us up here. I've talked a lot about this game. This game has consumed a lot of my life between the 120 minutes of action that we saw, the penalty shootouts, and the rain stoppages, and now this podcast. I've put in about, my goodness, 5 or 6 hours into this game. So we will leave it at that. We will continue to follow along with the CPL playoffs. So I do hope that you follow along with me. And at the very least, just watch them, man. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. You're going to find a lot of great Canadian talent as well on display, especially if you're a Canadian soccer fan. I think this is the time to be watching it. If nothing else, if you don't want to watch the regular season, I mean, I still think you should as well. But if you don't want to watch the regular season, at least watch the playoffs. It is really, really fun. I really enjoy it. And with that being said, that reminds me, I will be covering Vancouver's MLS playoff run. So just another thing to add to the plate. Why not? Why not? We are the Maple Footy Podcast. We cover Canadian soccer. So let's freaking cover some Canadian football, baby. So with all that being said, I do hope you enjoyed. Join me for the next one. And until next time, cheers, everyone.
And that was your Maple Footy Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Check my socials for any and all future updates. Remember to support Canadian football, be kind, and until next time, live, laugh, little.